Alright, we are going to start Chapter 10. Hopefully you took your test yesterday on Chapter 9. That should have been pretty easy if you did the practice test. And if you checked the help board on how to do the practice test, no one should have had trouble on Chapter 9 test. I'm expecting quite a few hundreds, I would hope. So let's move on to Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is called Similarity. We're going to start out this lesson, and I hope I don't bore you totally to death, with ratios and proportions. Of course, they're going to do it differently than what you've had us done in algebra. So you're just going to have to be adaptable. That's what you're going to have to do the rest of your life. Every time you take a math course, it's going to be taught different ways. So we're going to adapt. This first one is ratio and proportion, and we're going to start out. This should be starting out kind of simple, yet the way they do it is kind of complicated at the same time. So definition, the ratio of the numbers a to b is the number a over b. Note b cannot be 0 because we can't have division over by 0, undefined. So a ratio of numbers, we would just say the ratio to a to b is a over b. That's our ratio. What a proportion is, it's an equality between two ratios. So if I'm going to write a proportion, I would say a over b equals, that's one ratio, is equal to another ratio. That's proportion. It's an equality between two ratios. So here's two ratios, and we're going to do some problems with these shortly. The thing to keep in mind here, when you have a proportion, B and C are called the means, and A and B are called the extremes. In a proportion, the product of the means is always equal to the product of the extremes, and they call that the means extremes property. So in a proportion, you can always say A times D equals B times C. So we could put some real numbers, like this will be like a problem that you have on your homework. We could put some real numbers to this. We could say x over 3 equals 9 over 10. If they set them equal, this is a proportion. So we know that the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. What I like to do is just cross multiply. So we get 10x equals 27. Guess we don't have these working out very nicely. So we get x equals 2.7. We could say 27 over 10, or 2 and 7/10. So that's how you're going to do these. That's how you're applying the means extremes property. You just cross multiply. They're equal to the product of the means. These are the means equals the product of the extremes. Something that you might not have learned before is a thing called the geometric mean. So if I have 4 over 10, let's do this up here, 4 over 10 equals 10 over 25. This one right here, the 10s are geometric means. The number b is a geometric mean between the numbers a and c, if and only if a, b, and c are positive, and a over b equals b over c. So what they're saying here is if you have a proportion a over b equals b over c, and these two are the same, then b is the geometric mean. So in this one up here, these 10s are the same, so 10 is the geometric mean between 4 and 25. Let's try a couple examples in your homework. I'll try not to belabor this too long. Let's look at, let's see, which ones did I pick? We're going to do an example, and it says, this is an example, the first example, I do believe, in set 1. It says, find the geometric mean between each of the following pairs of numbers. So this one's going to say, find the geometric mean. So this is different, so that's why I'm going to do a problem on this. Geometric mean. And it's going to be between two numbers, so they're going to say find the geometric mean between 12 and 15. So when it says find the geometric mean, that means we don't know what it is. So if we don't know what it is, we're going to call the geometric mean x. So where, see, remember the geometric mean, you can't see that anymore. If we have a over b equals B over C. B is the geometric mean. So this is going to be our A, this is going to be our B, our C. So we just say 12 over X equals X over 15. Remember, the geometric mean is this number that is the same in both ratios. So we would just cross multiply to find them. If you're weak on your algebra, this is going to be hard. I don't know what else to tell you, but you're just going to have to practice and try. This is Algebra 1. It's not really hard algebra, but you might be rusty at it, or maybe you just didn't learn your Algebra 1 very well. So I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to take 12 times 15, and I'm going to get 180. And we cross multiply this way. You could do either order. Equals x squared. So we're going to get x equals, remember to get this by itself, you take the square root of both sides, square root of 180. And that simplifies into square root of 36 times the square root of 5. And that ends up being 6 square root of 5. So the geometric mean between 12 and 15 is 6 square root of 5. So all you do, when they ask you to do it between two numbers, you put your two numbers here and here, and you put your x, your geometric mean you don't know, so you put it there. So that's one I thought you might have a little bit of trouble. Let's look at a couple more here. Let's look at the next example. This is in section 2. It says, write the proportion that results from dividing both sides of the equation by each of the following quantities. So this one's kind of strange. That's why I'm going to do it. I don't really like these problems, but they say write. This is right below number 18. It says write the proportion that results from dividing both sides of the equation. And so they're going to give you this one equation that you use for all of these. So this is example 1, and this is example 2. So they give us this equation: 5x equals 12y. Write the proportion that results from dividing both sides of the equation 5x equals 12y by each of the following quantities. So the first one that they're going to give us, the first quantity, is they're going to give us 5y. So they just want us to divide this equation by 5y. So really, that's what you do. So you're going to take this one and divide it by 5y, and this one and divide it by 5y, and the 5's are going to cross out, and the y's are going to cross out, and we get y over x over y equals 12 over 5. And that's how you do it. Like number 19, they give you 60, and they want you to do the same thing with that one. 19. So they want you to take 5x equals 12y, start with that equation, and you want to divide both sides by 60. Whoops. It's strange, but this is what they want you to do. So they're going to end up getting x over 12 equals y over 5. And I do believe that's the answer to number 15. Yep, that's it. So when you hit these are 19, 20, 21, you take this original equation, 5x equals 12y, and you just divide both sides by whatever they give you on that side. Let's see, I was going to do one more. But I think you can probably make it through the rest. There's some proofs at the end. Just do the odd proofs. You're going to need to look at the answer book to do these. Even the reasons don't quite make sense. But you can see if you can make sense of it. If you don't know what to do, write substitution. It seems like what they do in the book. So that's about it for lesson 10. If you have any questions at all, remember, go to the help board and I'll try to give you a detailed answer to that. And we can also go over this lesson when we start class on Thursday. So make sure you bring your test to class and have your homework done. And I'll have your homework quiz turned back to you from last week. So that's it for lesson 10.